It seems perverse at a time when Russia has invaded Ukraine that their presidency should go to a Russian. What on earth are the UN thinking of?
The UN isn't thinking at all. This is a procedural matter, so the presidency changes on a regular basis, and now it's Russia's turn. And the problem is, nobody is in a position to change those procedures. They were set up when the United Nations, was set up, and that's how the United Nations operates. And the problem is also that if other countries were to somehow kick Russia out, then of the presidency, then the next time, for example, the UK has its turn to preside over the Security Council, then Russia could say, well, now we're going to stage a coup against you. So it's a very tricky matter, and it goes back to the end of World War II, the beginning of the Cold War, when countries came together to try to form some sort of viable institution, and that's the only one we've got.
So in fact, President Zelensky's got a point, hasn't he, when he says this is just outdated now. This needs to have radical reform, because it's laughable.
It needs radical reform, but we don't have any better option on any sort of shelf for a better global organisation that can adequately represent all the countries of the world and bring them together to some sort of decision-making body. This is the best option we've got, and it's not very good. And the problem is also, if we were to try to reform the United Nations or even just the Security Council at the moment, it would be blocked by one of the current permanent members. So we are stuck with this not very good organisation.
And the last time that they had the presidency was at exactly the same point where Russia invaded Ukraine. I mean, and I read that, in fact, the Russian ambassador to the United Nations says that he is going to be very active during the 1 month that he's there. What kind of damage could he do in that time?
He could do a lot of reputational damage to the United Nations. He can't do very much in terms of actual output, because if he does something, if he suggests something really outrageous, it will be blocked by the US, the UK or France. But he can do a lot of reputational damage. And unfortunately, in the past few years in particular, the United Nations has suffered a lot of reputational damage because countries have tried various crazy schemes. We should remember, for example, that the council that is in charge of human rights voted with China, the majority voted with China on the matter of the persecution of the Uyghurs, or the repression of the Uyghurs. So all of this harms the United Nations. But on the other hand, again, this is the best institution we've got, or actually it's the only global institution we've got.
By the way, it seems a remarkable position that we say, well, there's nothing anyone can do about it because a permanent member will veto it, we have no other alternative. We just need to pull out and start. I mean, there's nothing to stop individual countries like the UK pulling out and saying, let's form something new.
So you can try that and you form something new, but you won't have the countries in the tent that you want to have in the tent, the countries that you don't agree with, because we have to have some sort of global body where all countries come together, not just the countries that behave in the manner that we like.
Well, yes, but then we have a current situation where a country that has breached the UN Charter is chair of the Council, who no action can be taken against by the UN because they will veto it. I mean, it's just totally ridiculous.
It is. The problem is that we, after the end of World War II, we somehow thought that, oh, this is the end of brutality on this scale, and now countries will have sobered up to the reality that they have to get along, they have to behave in a certain manner.